coffee, sign a dog, and of course, my laptop to do some work. Now I just gotta figure out what I want to draw. Oh, okay. I guess I know what we're drawing today. Let's go ahead and roll that awesome intro.
Josh, I need a commission made.
What you need? I mean, we already know what you need. We plan this in advance. It's not like it's already, set in motion. But anyway, for the audience, what do you need?
I'm just having some fun making tons of things, like this leggy froggy stuff, octopus and all these things, but I haven't made an axolotl yet. The name axolotl is so misspelled anyways in the English language that it might as well be an Egyptian god, which led to, hey Josh, can you a god?
My response is I can, because this is a challenge, an adult god, and first person that came to mind was a god of lightning.
And the only condition I asked, make him derpy and make him buff.
If there's one thing I'm good at, drawing curvy women. Second thing I'm good at, drawing buff superheroes. Do this. I accept this challenge. Let's go. Let's wave our arms and transition energy. This is funny.
Alright guys, you heard what Patty Brick wants for our illustration, so let's go ahead and get started. Well, we're going to need a little more than just a blank piece of paper. There we go, now we got an illustration we can work off of, so let's go ahead and get into that super time lapse. And thus began my journey on this super fun piece, and one thing I have to say, and I've mentioned it countless times in the channel, probably to the point where you all know exactly what I'm going to say, I absolutely love inking. It is my favorite art medium. I love what I can do with it. I love all the lines, all the textures, all the values, everything. It's so much fun. And this was a piece where I knew I didn't want to do super heavy cross hatching and I want to have a cleaner look and do more of the rendering and the shading during the coloring, but I still had a bunch of fun going in with a slightly more extreme line variety, really trying to get some really dynamic lines in there to really sell this buff axolotl. It's such a weird idea, but I absolutely love it, and I had to commit to this. So most of the line art was done with my Zebra calligraphy pen. It's one of my favorite pens of all time because not only is the ink waterproof and alcohol marker proof, but it also has a flexible plastic nib, which is great to add a lot of that line variety. And again, I was really trying to push in this piece to get some really extreme and dynamic line widths, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And I also used a couple microns just to get some really thin, consistent lines in here, including for the gills where I went in and I used a pink micron to get those really nice fine details. I actually debated to try and do the gills with ink, but I realized, you know what, I'm going to be coloring this. I think it'll be best to just go ahead and do the color ink from the start, and I'm glad I did because it helped to add just that dynamic, fun look to it, and I absolutely love how this piece came out. Our inks are done, and I absolutely love how they came out. There's a lot of character, and it was super fun to do. Now we just gotta wait for this to fully dry before we move on to the coloring, and I have to give a special thanks to this little dude. This is Sarah's pet axolotl Falcor, and she is an amazing model that helped me draw this dude perfectly. Seriously, she is the cutest little axolotl you've ever done seen. Now let's go ahead and get into our coloring stage. After giving this piece plenty of time to dry, I then went in with my alcohol markers to do my coloring. Now, I do want to state real quick that I normally use my Copics for coloring. They have such a great ink quality, blending, and they also have a pretty solid longevity compared to other alcohol markers, including an incredibly large range, but I decided to use my Prismacolors. The main reason was I actually had a really solid variety of yellows in that collection, so I thought, why not take advantage of them? So after picking out my colors, I went into the coloring stage. Now, I do want to say real quick that when I color, I tend to stick to the 3 marker approach or the 3 colors approach for blending. It tends to give you the best results. Now that method is pretty straightforward. If you're coloring, let's say, a red shirt, then you pick 3 red. Your light red, your mid-value red, and then your dark red, and then you blend between the 3 to create a very nice, even 3-dimensional tone. Now I did use that with the gills of this character. I used 3 different magentas and pinks, but I decided to take a step further when it came to the body of the character because I ended up using 5 different yellows. This would give me a larger range of tones and also give me more blending. This was a super fun process. I absolutely love using alcohol markers, the solid colors, the consistency, the convenience of it all, but more importantly, I love the graphical look and the comic feel that these markers give. While they may not have the best light fastness compared to other mediums, they still are a phenomenal way to create some truly amazing and stunning art, and they're incredibly versatile. I've seen people use them to do realism, cell shading, cartooning, or for what we like to do on the channel, more of a comic style approach, and I absolutely loved how these yellows went down and blended. Some people say that Bristol's too harsh for paper for blending because of how well it absorbs the alcohol ink, but I have to disagree. disagree. As an inker, I predominantly focus on the inks of my piece, as that's my foundation to go off of. And while I do admit that some papers do handle blending better than Bristol, Bristol is still really good, and you can get the same blends, you do need to work a little harder at it. So that's just something I want to address real quick. After all the blending and everything was done, I was super happy with the piece that I had to take it to the next step, the watercolor phase. So fun fact for you, axolotls are actually aquatic salamanders, and I thought it'd be really cool to have this character be underwater, and instead of just going crazy with alcohol markers, I thought it'd be really cool to just do some light washes of watercolor to accentuate that chaotic flow to help distinguish them from the background, but also add that ocean flow and water to everything. After all, it is called watercolor for a reason, and I'm really happy I made that decision. Though admittedly, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it was a little bit of a last minute one. Originally, I was going to use alcohol markers to render the background, but as you can tell, that is not what I ended up doing, and I'm really glad I changed it because it really helps to create this fun look to everything, and it layered really well. While Bristol is a super solid paper that could take almost anything you could throw its way, I will say one interesting thing about it is that heavy watercolor can damage it, so I made sure that not only was it taped down, but I was really taking my time building up those layers very slowly, and I was going for more of a wet on dry method than a wet on wet method to help minimize any damage. And since everything was taped down, it dried super solid with very minimal warping. I was also tempted to go really crazy in this stage too and mix a couple purples in there, but I decided not to. I felt like it would have been way too much and too distracting from the main character, and while it does look a little simple compared to what we normally do, I think it's fine for this piece and really matches the overall feel that I was going for. And now it's time to add the finishing touches, and this is really what can bring a piece to life. Like, no joke, it looks good, don't get me wrong, but these final steps, these little tiny things here and there, really elevates the piece to a whole new level. Now, the first thing I did was I went in with some color pencils to add a little extra depth to everything. I went in with a couple different yellows and one blue for highlights and just smooth everything out. Now, the color pencils that I'm using are Prisma. They're really good and solid, and they're wax-based, which is great because I can actually melt the wax with alcoholing to create a smoother blend. While I didn't use that technique here, it is something that I use a lot in my artwork, especially my mixed media work, just to add highlights and some extra depth and shading to my marker work. Alcohol markers and color pencils pair super well together. After I finished using my color pencils, I then moved on to my paint pens, which allowed me to add an opaque element to the piece. Now, I went in with a few different paint pens to get the effect I was going for. I used both my Malto White and my Presto to get a solid foundation for the lightning. This was really good because one would go down super clean and smooth, while the other one could just clean and sharpen the details and also do any cleanup work that I may have messed up with my Presto. The Presto's not super precise, but it's super opaque and layers very well on top of different mediums, so I'm very happy that was my foundation to build upon. After I gave that plenty of time to dry, I went in with a blue Posca. Now, normally I don't like to use Poscas because they're not actually a paint pen, they're more like an ink, but because I had a solid white foundation to work off of, I wasn't worried about anything bleeding through, and the blues tend to be pretty solid, so I was okay using that. And I went in and I added that middle piece, the lightning, that really helped to convey that energy feel and show that it was lightning. The blue worked really well and also tied into the blue highlights that I had on him with the colored pencils. I just went in and did everything nice and loose. I made sure I was following what I set up, but wasn't too afraid to have a little bit of spontaneity to it and add a couple extra lines here and there. I also added a subtle splatter effect because I think it looks cool, and let's be real, I use this technique all the time, and would my artwork feel right without it? No, I don't think it would. Overall, I absolutely love how this piece came out. This is easily one of my favorite pieces I've made this year. Seriously, top 10 easily. But it doesn't matter what I think about this. We gotta see what our friend Pati thinks.
Oh yeah, we're doing the transition. Can we transition? I don't know what this is. I'm just being silly. Anyway, so I have your piece now. It's been a couple days. I love how this little dude turned out. I absolutely love it, and I hope you do as well. Now, this is your first genuine time seeing this thing.
The only clue I had was yellow. I wore a yellow shirt.
That is the only... I asked you what color you wanted him to be. Are you ready?
Yeah, I am. I'm looking forward to this.
Okay, you ready? Here we go.
Okay. Oh, it is. It has like a 10-pack. Oh my gosh. And you did put accents of blue in it. Yes.
So I have blue accents and highlights, and then I also made the lightning blue.
I see. And is that pink or red the little gills?
Pink.
Is it pink teeth or is it just open mouth?
Open mouth. See, because they have no teeth, so I gave them the derp.
Well, that's
the meme
true.
that you sent me was the inspiration.
I'm so excited for this.
Legitimately one of the most fun, challenging things I had to do. Make him both derpy and super buff. And I absolutely love how this came out. Is this going to be the mascot for your Etsy store?
Actually, I am still looking for a logo. So I will at least add it to the store itself. I will be selling these online.
Yeah.
I have a little Mario star right here. Some whales that are mixed in here. Horses. This one has a floral flower with it. Different types of frogs. This one's just a normal little flat thing that has the little to make it easy to sit with, but I've seen ones with the twirls. I have a few bees in here as well, different colored stripes. For those who don't know, my name is Patience, and I get called Pati a lot. I wound up doing the pun, Patiently Crafts.
Which I do think is a really good name. I assume you'll be picking this up when you visit in October, so that means we're going to do something for October. We're going to have a blast, and then all that's left to do is the normal chill of please subscribe. It helps keep the lights on. But seriously, subscribe to the channel if you guys enjoyed this, like the video, leave a comment what you think of Pati's commission, along with what you think of her stuff, because seriously, that stuff's really cool. Also, check out the Etsy store and my ArtStation account. Both will be linked in the description down below, so you'll have Pati's store, and you'll also have my ArtStation store. There in the description, so you'll order art, you can order amazing plushies, and all that fun normal YouTube jazz. Productions, this is Pati of
Patiently Crafts.
I draw power my own soul, she crochets with her own power and soul, and we all wish you a great day. Stay safe, guys.